Hey everybody, it's Bill Slocum from NC State. In this short little video, I want to talk about navigating the ArcGIS Online user interface. And again, I'll focus on the National Park Service Northeast region through this little video, but little housekeeping. Neither the National Park Service nor NC State University endorses or recommends any commercial products, processes, or services. This material may not be used for advertising or product endorsement purposes. This material is intended for educational purposes only. Neither the U.S. government nor NC State University warrants or assumes any legal liability or responsibility for the accuracy, completeness, or usefulness of any information, apparatus, product, or process disclosed. Okay, navigating the ArcGIS Online user interface. The very first thing I'm going to say about this is it takes a little bit of time. In addition, Esri continually updates their user interface, so it does change from time to time. Once in a while, it'll be a very subtle change. Sometimes it'll be a major revision of the application interface. And all the times that I've used this application, the interface change has not hindered my ability to get anything done. In fact, it's actually been enhanced to the point where it makes my job a lot easier and my workflows a lot simpler. So what I want to go over are things in my content. Those are things that I own, that I create, and how I organize that in my my content and within folders. Next, I'll talk about favorites, which are kind of like bookmarks in a URL, but you can say, I would like this to be a favorite because I access it all the time, and as your content grows, you can create favorite links to help you find your content that you access more often a lot easier. Talk about how to navigate groups and grouped content, and finally there's an organization tab. I'll show you how you can use that to maybe benefit you. Alright, so let's get going with the demonstration here. Remember that URL, nps.maps.arcgis.com, and you're going to want to use your National Park Service PIV card. So you put your PIV card in, you navigate to that URL, you say you want to use your National Park Service account, you enter in your PIN, and it all works really nice for you. If you don't have an account, you know, it's real easy. It'll create one for you. It might take a little while for it to cycle through, just like when you change a password in Bison Connect. Sometimes it can take a little while to cycle through. But hang in there and it'll get working for you. So let's go ahead and go to this little video here. I've already logged in to my Park Service account. You can see I got my little picture up here with my name, and there's some different things I've got. You can look at community forums, my Esri, look at what training you've done. I've got multiple accounts, so I have a switch accounts here, and a sign out. If you just close your browser, though, it typically signs you out, but I always like to sign out just to make sure. Okay, so this is my content. You can see that my content tab is here. I also have some more tabs up here where I can go to a gallery, I can create a new map, I can create a scene, I can go to groups, look at my content or the organization. You're going to see some similar stuff down here in your content. Under your content, you'll have different tabs. Lots of different ways to get to this stuff. Okay, so you can see I've got a lot of content under my content. I've got a couple of pages of that, and as you work through this, I know it's going to get more and more and more and more content. So the best thing you can do, just like on your file system, on your desktop or your laptop, what have you, I have created folders to store all of my information, all of my maps, apps, shape files. You can upload all kinds of different items through the Add Item dialog here. Okay, but that's what they are. Now they have a nice little shortcut down here where you can look at, if I just want to look at just maps, or if I want to look at layers, I can look at different types of layer, like feature layers here. I can just see those. So they make it easy to navigate and find your information. I've got two apps there. You can look at modified, shared, and different status, things like that. So that is the base here of your interface. I'm going to go back to this, and I'm going to say, I'm going to clear the filter. It just shows everything. All right. Favorites. That's great. I like this web app that I built. You saw it in this one here. You saw it in a different video. So I want to make that a favorite. Done. just click the star and it's done. Okay. While we're on this, let's take a look at this as well. You have a drop down. You can view the application immediately, or you can view those item details. Well, I've clicked the favorites, but let's look at those item details. All right. Here you go. Here's the base map viewer. I could add in a description of terms of use if that's what I wanted to do. I could look at how often this is being used. It keeps metadata, it keeps metrics of your usage. So if you've shared this with other people, you'd be able to see how often it's been used and accessed. You have a settings button over here where you can mark it as authoritative. You can prevent it from being deleted, which means to delete that you have to answer several questions in a row. Yes, 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 I want to delete that. Okay. You also have a source URL. If it is shared, you could give this URL to people, and they would be able to access your map that way, or in this case, your app. We'll go back to my content. Let's navigate the item details of a service. You're going to see a lot of different things here, right? You can open the map viewer, open in the scene viewer, might bog your machine down. Open in an ArcGIS desktop. You know, you're working in the cloud now. Stay in the cloud for right now. Okay, you can export the data, update the data, share the data, metadata, a bunch of different tags. You've seen a lot of this in other instructional videos, but you can always update it here. You've got a data tab, which allows you to look at the attributes associated with your data. You may want to do that. You'll find reasons to do this, I promise. You can take a look at a visualization of the data. How does it look? Again, instead of opening it up in a map viewer, you can go and look at some of these. Now, this is kind of strange. I don't know what's happening here, but you know, it happens this way. So there's Colonial right over here. Let's see what's going on. And you can just zoom in here. And I should start seeing some kilometer markers. Huh, well, I don't. We'll try a different one. But you know I've got some data there because you can view it right here. Okay. Again, just like that app, you can look and see how often it's been accessed. You know, you can get some metrics on that. Is it useful? You can use this. If you share it, you can find out how useful that data is by how often people access it. And again, you have a settings tab where you can delete things if that's what you choose to do. Let's go back to my content. Okay, so that's how you navigate the interface of my content and look at the properties of features, services, and apps and maps, and how you can use some of the tools to find those data quickly. Another way, I have starred my basic viewer app, and so if I look at my favorites, it's right there for me. Now I can change the way that this is all displayed, but it all means the exact same thing. Okay, it's a different way of showing you the data, and in this case, the application. All right, and again, you could filter this. My favorites by maps, layers, scenes, apps, files, date modified, that type of environment. My groups, okay. So these are the groups that I am a member of. Let's go look at the instructional videos group. You'll see here that if I just click on the group, I can see these data. And with the little ellipses over here, like you saw in my content, I can view the item details, open it in a map viewer, add it to a new map, Your options may change a little because I have different privileges. I have administrative privileges where you probably have a user or a publisher privilege. You can get that updated or elevated by contacting your regional administrator if that's what you need to do. You can also see who owns these data. Okay? That's very important. That also has to do with authoritative, the authoritative person to talk to about the data. All right? Now, if I want to go to this group, you'll notice that Esri's done a really good job of making it easy. So I could go view the group page right here. So let's click on that, and you'll see that I'm taken to the group page. Again, you have different tabs that you can use to interact with this group content. Again, you can refine that content by looking at these different filters they've provided here. You can look at the members of the group. You may not be able to invite members. It all depends on your level of access. And you can also look at some settings. You may have access to that as well. Okay, so that's a group. Let's go back to my content. So we've looked at my content. We've looked at items and how to get around those. You've got the ellipses. You can mark them as favorites. We've looked at groups. Now let's look at the organization. This is when people have made data available to you through the organization. Remember when I have a video of sharing content? That's how this stuff gets shared with my organization. So again, you have filters where if you want to just look at apps, you can see what apps have been made available to you through the organization. Okay? That's really about it. Oh, and look, someone's figured out how to put a nice handy-dandy thumbnail up here so you don't have all of these just canned Esri items. And you'll notice as you hover over, you can view an application. You can view an application. I bet if I just go back to clear and it's all, if I hover here, I can open the map viewer. Some of them may be able to download. It's really how the user has set that data up for you. Okay, so just to recap, you can navigate the ArcGIS Online user interface by looking at your content and viewing information about your items and storing those items in folders. And content is for you. It's just you. You can access that content. Your colleagues may not be able to. You can store things as favorites, so it's easy to get to it. You can share items with groups, and you can view that group content. And if you're a member of that group, you can view that group content and interact with the different tools available. And finally, the organization, the National Park Service. People have made things available to you. All right. The best way to get into this thing is to dive in and start working. Again, you've heard me say this before. I don't know many people that get it right the first time. I sure don't. A lot of times it's trial and error and talking to your peers and colleagues to see what they think about the content that you've created that you might want to share with them. Okay, I hope this has been useful. Thanks for your time, and I hope you have a good evening.